Hello and welcome to the Wedding Dish Podcast. Grab your fork and knife and take a seat at our table as we dish on all things wedding. You're going to hear stories and tips from today, a real couple, sometimes wedding professionals, about love, life, entrepreneurship, and so much more. Let's dish. I am, of course, Sarah Alapin, your hostess with the mostest, and the CEO of Photos from the Harty and District Bliss. And I have my little Snorosaurus sleeping in his sunspot behind me right now. And today my guest has a little co-host friend as well. So thank you so much for being here, June. I'm so thrilled to have you. I'm so thrilled we get to share about your wedding day, which, of course, I was really honored to be a part of.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yay! Well, let's dish. So, June, you got married when?
September 15th, 2018. So
Happy anniversary.
We just celebrated our third anniversary.
My wedding anniversary was yesterday.
I know, I saw on Facebook.
It's 9 years.
That's crazy. I feel like that went by so fast.
It really did. It really did. But we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you. So tell me a little bit about, you, of course, met your husband in Baltimore, dated long distance, ended up totally surprised the crap out of you, for lack of a better way to say this, with your proposal, where he flew your whole family into Spain to surprise you, which was just bananas and so awesome.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about your wedding day itself. So tell me how you chose your venue.
Sure. So we got married at, I guess you could technically say it's Gertrudes, but also the Baltimore Museum of Art. So my mom was in senior development at the Baltimore Museum of Art for 20 years, and my dad is a contemporary sculptor. And so I've been surrounded by art my whole life. And when I was thinking about a venue, I really wanted a one-stop shop. Like, I didn't want to have to organize shuttles and figure out, okay, a ceremony spot, the reception spot, what are we doing after? And what I really liked about Gertrudes is that you have access to the terrace, and then also the BMA has a sculpture garden that you can use as well. And so it just kind of fit. It fit what I was looking for. It kind of fit what my family was about, because we really, we always have big outdoor parties. We always like to be outside as much as possible. I mean, my parents joke that their porch is a second living room. They're out there from May through October. And so it was just a perfect setting for everything.
That's amazing. And your dad exhibited several times at the BMA, correct?
Yeah, he did. I think it was just one or two times they had kind of community. It was like smaller scale. It wasn't like big expeditions or exhibitions, excuse me. I actually honestly can't remember when they were, because I think it was when I was a little bit younger. But yeah, I mean, and my dad also, by virtue of my mom working there, was very much involved in the art scene and the galas and openings and communicating and working with like all the other artists being shown there, as well as the curators and stuff like that. So yeah.
I love that. And so a little spoiler here, not only did I photograph June's wedding, but also June and I are sorority sisters, and I went through the art program at University of Maryland, where her dad is the head of the art department.
Oh yeah. He was chair of the art department for 16 years while we were there at school. Yeah.
I used to throw him off his game a little bit saying hi to him, because he would be like, who is this person?
I know. It was so funny. And honestly, I had the same kind of weird stuff happen, because I had a minor in art. And so a lot of my professors were old family friends, and like they would bring up like kind of personal like stories in class. And I'd be like, oh my God. Like, yes. Yep. I've known you my whole life. Thank you. This is not embarrassing as a 19-year-old at all.
Oh my gosh. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about your actual wedding day. You got ready at your parents' house.
Mhm.
And then from there, we headed over to the BMA/Gertrudes.
Yes. Yeah.
And you incorporated a lot of pieces into your wedding day that were culturally and family heirlooms and or significant.
Mhm.
So your husband grew up in Kenya,
Yes,
correct?
that's correct. Yep, he was born in Kenya, in Nairobi, Kenya, and he was there until I think he was about 17 when he came to the States to finish high school and attend university.
Um, and so his family obviously lived there for many, many years.
Yeah,
And
yeah, they are still there. His brother's in London or in the UK, but his parents are still in Kenya, and many of his aunts, uncles, and cousins are as well.
I love that. And you have traveled there, correct?
Yes, I've been there, I think, 4 times now, and we're actually getting ready to go. We're going to go for a month. We leave actually on October 10th, and we'll be there until November 9th.
Oh my gosh, it'll be so good to see everybody.
Yeah, no, we're really looking forward to it. This will be the first time we've been able to stay for more than 2 weeks, and it'll just feel more like a stay instead of like a whirlwind of trying to see everybody and do all the things. And of course, our son Torek will get to spend a bunch of time with that side of the family.
I love that. He's going to have so much fun. So you incorporated several important pieces into your wedding day.
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit about the significance of your hairpins. And I also want to talk about the boutonnieres and those kinds of things too.
Yeah, sure. So I really wanted, because not a lot of Garrick's family and friends were going to be able to attend the wedding, and because Kenya is such a big part of who Garrick is, I wanted to try to incorporate as much as I could from Kenya. So that my hair pieces and the boutonnieres were all made by a local artist, and they're what is it called? Sustainably sourced feather pieces. And so instead of doing a big veil or anything, I really wanted to focus on the feathers, because several of my trips there, I saw her work, and I have a few like really long, beautiful feather earrings, and I found out she did custom pieces. And so I thought it'd be really neat and unique, instead of doing flower boutonnieres and a veil, to incorporate these feather pieces. And so what's really cool about the boutonnieres is that they actually had a porcupine spine in them to kind of give them some structure, and then the feathers, and then my hairpins and my sister's hairpins were just these beautiful, feather masterpieces that Ambica was able to create. And so, yeah, it just kind of felt right and felt like me. Garrick actually and my parents jokingly say I kind of have a sporty boho style. And so it just felt like it was the right fit for the wedding day.
I tend to agree. You do have a sporty boho style. Very well put.
Right? I didn't even know that was like a thing that existed, but apparently I'm it.
I love that so much. It's so fitting. And it also kind of fits at the last minute. I don't know if you remember this, but I remember this conversation. So you have these like beautiful bracelets that you wear like all the time.
Mhm.
And at the last minute, you were getting ready to leave your parents' house and you were like, should I wear them? Should I not wear them? And you were trying to figure it out. And you asked Katie and me, and we were like, we think you should do whatever feels right in your heart. And you were like, I'm wearing them out the door.
Yeah, and actually, my mom, I've gifted similar bracelets to my mom and sister, and so they both wore theirs as well. Yeah, so that was really fun. So they're for the listeners, they are Maasai beaded bracelets, and so they're kind of a round cylinder, essentially bangle, but they're seed beads, small, very colorful seed beads wrapped around kind of a tubing, and so then they create this kind of big, fun, colorful bangle. And I typically have 3 on that I wear all the time, and then I've gifted several to my sister and my mom, so they both wore those as kind of homage to it as well.
And it looked fabulous together. I mean, you wore this like beaded, beautiful dress that just couldn't have looked more stunning, especially with your tattoos and things.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't have a ton of tattoos. I'm
No,
not implying she
no,
has a
but they just
sleeve,
kind of
but it's
peeked out the
like
back.
a little peek.
Yeah, they
It
peeked out
was
the back a little bit. Yeah.
added like a nice little color. It really like tied everything together. It just was perfect. And it was so perfect for the setting in the sculpture garden. I was looking back at your pictures.
Oh my gosh, I was too. I look at that book often, but like we definitely always look at it like on our anniversary or the week of our anniversary, but it's downstairs in our living room. And so with Torek kind of getting into bookshelves all the time, often it will get brought down. And so we'll look at the pictures together. And he'll, obviously point to us and go, Mama, Dada. And it's, it's fun. It's cute.
I love that. I can't wait to meet him one day.
I know. If we get to Baltimore and don't have like a whirlwind, I feel like every time we get to Baltimore, it's like for some family something, and we have no time to ourselves to like see anybody.
Isn't that how traveling goes these days? And especially once you like are married and have a family, or just have a family, or it just becomes like when you're away, when you go home, it's like all you do is see your family because there's
Yeah.
so much going on in celebration of you being there.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no like downtime for us to do like our own thing and see our own friends.
Yeah, I still have the same experience when we go up to my parents' house in Havre Grace.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the beads,
Oh yeah.
let's talk about the I want to hear a little bit about how you received the collar. We have pictures of this, so you all will get to see it. It's like one of the most stunning things I have ever seen. And so Bryony, your mother-in-law, gifted you a collar, and it was sort of a combination of actual tradition and like cultural tradition and family tradition, which I love because I love when people adapt into and make something that's personal but honor tradition in culture too. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. Yeah. So Bryony, as part of her outfit for the wedding, wore this stunning Maasai bridal collar that she had been gifted by her mother-in-law. And, rewind a bit, I remember seeing this piece at one of my visits to Kenya and just being stunned by it. It's just vibrant, beautiful. And so I remember when Garrick and I were preparing to get married and everything, I told him I wanted a bridal collar for my gift, like my bride gift, just like, how you get the groom something and the groom gets the bride something. And I was like, I want a bridal collar. Like it's just stunning. It's beautiful. It's meaningful. And that didn't happen, which is fine. I was like, okay, that's fine, whatever. And Bryony wore this beautiful collar with a kind of a neat pant kind of romper, off the shoulder romper, but it went well and it was like beautiful. And
it was perfect.
Yeah, it was perfect. And it was so her. It was just so her style. And it was in the middle of the reception. We were, all the first dances were done, cake cutting was done. We're just all kind of, dancing with the band. And she had the music stop and got on the mic. And I was like, what is happening? And she basically gifted me the bridal collar and, explained that, she was gifted it by her mother-in-law and she didn't have any daughters to gift it to. And so she was presenting it to me and took it off and put it on me. And so then I wore it the rest of the night. And it was it was amazing. I was totally floored. I had no idea this was happening. I honestly don't even know if Garrick knew this was happening. He may have, though. He's a sandbagger. He's good at keeping secrets. R.E. the proposal. So then I got to wear it the rest of the evening, and I had several friends come up to me and be like, "You're lucky we're so close. I'd kill for that. It's beautiful." And so that's kind of the family tradition part of it, is that her mother-in-law gave it to her, and then she wanted to pass it down, but didn't have any daughters, and so she was passing it down to me. In traditional Maasai culture, the mother does make the bridal collar for her daughter, and there's history and a story told around all the different rings and the strands, and it's basically a map of the village, and it's all about kind of the animals and prosperity, and it's actually a really interesting cultural piece. And typically though, they only wear it on their wedding, and then they have other collars they wear for, other ceremonies. So I just thought it was really neat that it was kind of a bit of a combination of both, because I guess rewind even further, Bryony grew up in Kenya. She originally was growing up in Tanzania, and then her family moved to Kenya, I think when she was 13. So while she is a British citizen, she is very much part of Kenya. So I thought it was really cool how kind of those two came together. And so now I have it, displayed in our living room, hanging on like a black velvet bust. And I just look at it every day and I'm like, when can I wear it again? It's amazing.
It really is. It really is. It's going to be a few years before Torek is old enough to get married.
Yep.
And you're going to have, you're going to have to find something really cool to wear it with. I don't know, standard.
Once Garrick is a physician, I don't know if there's like fundraising events that are black tie or what, but like the next black tie event we get invited to, I'm wearing it.
I'm here for it.
I don't care. I want to wear it.
I am so here for it because that thing is stunning.
Yeah.
It's stunning.
It's amazing.
I feel like
special.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, there's so much tradition behind it, and there's so much love behind it. Love for you as someone coming into the family, essentially like saying, "Hey, you're my daughter now."
Yeah, exactly.
And that's how your wedding felt too with his family. It was like,
well, and I feel like too, it kind of started with the engagement ring too, because if you remember from our little blurb I think we did when we were doing the application for you guys to be our photographers, my engagement ring is a family heirloom from his great grandmother. The center stone is different, but the setting and the diamonds on either side of the center stone, it's I think like over 100 years old. So I've always been very much into heirlooms and family tradition. And I think his family has been too. And it's kind of neat to see how that was able to come together for our wedding. Cause I wouldn't have wanted it any other way.
I know. And it was so perfect. It was such a thing after my own heart, and just seeing how much people love you, like the way that you deserve to be loved, and how much you love them the way that they deserve to be loved. It was really special.
I know. I wish I could relive that night every year. Like every year on our anniversary, I'm like, man, I wish we could have this party again. It was just so much fun.
Oh my God. And the weather was perfect.
Surprisingly, right? Because that was the hurricane weekend. We had people, I forget the name of the hurricane. Was it Irene? I can't remember.
I forgot about this completely.
Yeah, we had about a dozen people have to cancel last minute because their airports were shut because they were coming from like South Carolina, North Carolina. Of course, hysterically, my friends coming from Florida still came because Florida airline guy, co-pilots are like, oh, hurricanes, no problem. We've hurricane season every year, but like everywhere else, like airports were closing. So we had about a dozen or so people have to cancel last minute. And then it turned out to be a beautiful day. The weather was perfect. It wasn't too hot. It was sunny. Like it didn't get too cold at night. It was like perfect.
Yeah. and then
it cut our people, like our guests down, but we ended up, I think, having maybe 120 people, and it was the perfect size. So it was, yeah.
Yeah, the dance floor was hopping. It was packed, but it was like more than enough room to have there were so many crazy dances going on. Like people were getting down, and they were taking up like the space they wanted to on the dance floor, which was amazing.
Yeah. No shame. Everyone, we taking advantage of the open bar and the live band for sure.
And I know that was one of the things that you mentioned is, that it was important to you that you wanted that like party vibe. So that's not skimping on the band, the Bachelor boys, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They were so good.
Yeah.
And then
they were actually the band for my sister's wedding as well. I don't think it was the exact same people, but my sister had the Bachelor Boys band at her wedding. And I just remember how like they just read the crowd, and I just felt like they did a really good job. So I already knew like well before Garrick and I were engaged that like whenever I was going to get married, I wanted the Bachelor Boys band. Cause I feel like the caliber of musicians that they hire is just on point. And what's cool too is when you're communicating with their, like, I don't know if it's a program director or what, but when you're communicating with the band and their like representative, and they're kind of trying to piece together the band based on what you want out of the music, they really do their work. They really do a good job, because one of the singers that we had, who's also, I think, one of the guitar players as well, looked at our list, and we had a song that is very out of left field. Like, Garrick has amazing eclectic taste in music, and that's why I wanted him to be in charge of it, because anything he puts on always has a good beat. I mean, it might be totally out of left field, but it's always like really good dance music. And so there's this band, or this guy called Bambino, and there's this song that we just love. It's just got a good beat to it. We always dance to it. And we figured they just put it on the iPad or the iPod for like one of their, band breaks. But the guy, the singer, had actually opened for this guy in concert before. So he learned Tuareg and sang the song live for us at our reception. And Garrick and I were like, what is happening? Like, this is amazing. And I think some of our favorite dance pictures that you guys got were of us being like, yeah, like just into it, because we never in our wildest dreams would have thought that the band would have played this song live, and they did. And it was awesome. So I can't say enough good things about Bachelor Boys Band. That has nothing to do with Kenya and like all the cultural things I brought in, but like Bachelor Boys Band, amazing.
You were also wearing the collar for that song.
Yes, I was.
Which like made it even like more of a party, because you've got this like amazing pop of color. You've got these strands that are going like
just
halfway down
everywhere.
It was, they go halfway down your shins, right?
Yeah, I think it definitely to my knees. I don't know if it goes all the way to my shins, but definitely to my knees. And I'm 5'8". I'm not short. But yeah, no, it was awesome. That was one of my favorite moments. Another favorite moment was, surprisingly, so they played, what is the name of that song? It's, I Would Walk 500 Miles. You know that song?
Yes.
So they played that live. And so we had, a mixed group of people. A lot of Garrick's friends are from Europe. And so that song surprisingly brought literally everyone to the dance floor. And I mean, it was insane. There were like dance lines and then people jumping up and down. Like, I mean, it was one of the most active songs. And I honestly haven't really ever heard that song played at a wedding reception before, but we like it. And it was like, it brought everyone to the dance floor. We were like, yes. And so we're all like jumping up and down when they're like, no. It was amazing. So that was another good dance moment. But yeah, sorry to circle back. Yeah. Garrick and I, we really wanted it to be a party. So the two things we really were not going to skimp on was the band and the open bar. And I think it worked, and it showed our personalities. And fortunately, our family and friends are kind of, like feathers. And so it worked for our group, and it was great. And I distinctly remember Garrick I forget what, I think it was during the Bambino song. He was having so much fun. I remember him being like, I don't even care if everyone's having fun. I'm having so much fun. This is amazing. Because he was nervous about being in charge of like the vibe of the music. And like, as soon as, this Bambino song was being played, he was like, this is amazing. I'm like, I love this. I don't even care if anyone's having fun. I'm having the best time. Like, it was hysterical. So, it was a party. It was a good time.
I can't stop like laughing and smiling about this. I just love it.
I know. I did not realize I gave him such anxiety putting him in charge of the music. I thought he would have liked it. I mean, he did, but like apparently it made him really nervous.
Well, I mean, of course, like anything with your wedding day, first of all, it's probably easier to put the nervousness off on something else, like worrying about guest experience.
Yeah.
Than worrying about like, making it down the aisle without tripping or fixating on something like that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. He is so funny. I love that story so much.
It's hysterical. I love it too. Cause like, I really like until that day, I think it was like a week or two before the wedding, he was like really stressing. I'm like, what is the problem? He's like, I'm just really nervous. Like, I don't know if people are going to like the music I like. And I'm like, Garrick, every time you put anything on, like we always dance, people are always commenting like, oh, what band is this? Like, it's fine. And it was better than fine. It was amazing.
I did want to break out and start dancing with you all during, it's a little busy, but
I know we've got some active dancers kind of kicking out their feet and jumping around.
You all had like uncles doing like dropping to the floor. I mean, it was insanity.
Yeah. 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 We have a eccentric family. They like to have a good time.
Yeah, and not afraid to have a
No,
good time. They're
no.
not a lot of like uncomfortable with dancing kind of.
Oh yeah. And by the end of the night, so because of the venue, we couldn't do sparklers, we couldn't do confetti, we couldn't do a lot of things for the send off because we were in a sculpture garden. And however, my mom, having, worked in development there and having put on numerous fundraisers, knew what had always been a success and surprising success were noisemakers and glow in the dark stuff. And so that stuff kind of was put out, not a little bit before kind of the end of the reception. And so people got into it. People were wearing the glow in the dark sticks like everywhere as earrings, necklaces, crowns. Like, I mean, so there towards the end of the night, there are pictures. I mean, people had 5, 6, 7, 8 of these, glow in the dark things on, through their earrings and like all kinds of like crazy configurations of these like glow in the dark, like necklace loop things. And so like, they let loose, like no shame, just, it was a good time.
And it made for amazing pictures. And the great thing about the pictures of the dancing is you can really like feel the vibes still because people were so expressive and just
that you
like
can see the motion. Yeah.
Yeah, which is like the best. I mean, so a lot of times I say, and I'm sure I said this to you all when you were talking about wedding photography, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of times I'll say, after a certain point, you often see the same people on the dance floor. So if you're looking to like keep your wedding budget friendly for photography, like there may be a point where you want to cap that. And then if there's a reason you want us to stay, we can extend it from that point. Because, if you obviously like you're essentially paying the photographer for the number of snaps.
Right.
We call it hourly, but really it's what goes into it on the backside, right? It's the editing and the culling, the number of photos.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
A lot of times, you'll say like, okay, we do the cake cutting, we get like 30, 45 minutes, an hour of dancing and then head out. But in your case, and I honestly have no idea what your package was at this point, but either way, like you knew your group and you knew that they were dancers. And I am so glad that you had that awareness because if we had missed some of that, it would have been really sad.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like, and I think what we did, because I didn't have a bridal party, it was just my sister. I think we cut time in the beginning, and you also know that I'm anal retentive. And so I had a very detailed list for you for the photos so that we could just like get them done. And so I think that's what we did. I don't think we augmented the package so much as the time and where you and Katie were. But yeah, I mean, and fortunately, since I'm one of the last cousins to get married, I'd already been to a ton of family weddings. So like I knew the lay of the land as far as like how at least my side of the family, quote unquote, behaved. Like it, for instance, the big family photo when you and Katie came over and were like, so your family already lined up. They already know that it's time for their, like the big family photo. And I was like, yeah, we do it at every wedding. And I'm one of 19 cousins. So like, they're good. They're ready.
I completely forgot about that. They lined up and then they came and got us. We like made sure the line was good and then we came and got you and just put you in.
Yeah.
So you barely missed any dancing to have how many people were in that photo?
I think it's like 35. I think I actually was just looking at the picture and counted. I think it was like 35 or 40 people.
It was insanity, and they were so organized and so
Yeah, they're
awesome.
ready to go. Like, let's do the family photo.
That's one of the great things about having a big family, like having that like has an awareness of those things where, there's a designated person who then goes out, which is something I always recommend for weddings, who then goes out and like finds everybody. So it's not the responsibility of the people getting married.
Right.
And the photographer, your planner, whoever doesn't know your whole family like that,
Yeah.
they're going to be able to like pick them out or know that they went to the bathroom or something.
Right. And what was funny about that situation is that I didn't have any one person. They just all knew, like, this is what we do, after, like, kind of before the cocktail hour. I think it was before the cocktail hour or before the cocktail hour ended. I can't remember, but it was around there before, everything really got started. And they're like, okay, we just know we line up and get ready and we do a big family picture and then, disperse. But yeah,
It was
so no, I'm
perfect.
glad too. And I'm glad too, because, I wanted to make sure you guys stayed for the exit, the send off too, because I thought it would be really fun to capture too, again, with like all of the glow in the dark stuff, at I think it was like 11 o'clock at night or whatever, and to just kind of get that vibe as well. And it was, there's some great pictures, and like my husband's like twirling around like a super long, like glow in the dark thing, like a lasso.
Like a
I don't
rope.
know. I mean, it's hysterical. Yeah.
You could tell there were points where he like opened up more and more throughout the night that you could like see milestones of him like getting more excited and more excited and more
Yeah.
excited
And
to
like less
celebrate.
like, yeah. Well, because I think actually what he told me is like, I don't think he maybe had a single drink while getting ready, but like he was like really nervous about like messing up, or it's not like I was drinking either. Like I think we had a glass of champagne, but like typically, you joke that like the groom is like getting, a little bit hammered with his boys and like and all that stuff. But again, we didn't have big bridal parties. And so I think once like everything, like the reception was there and he was like relaxing and, getting into the night, he was like, all right, this is fine. This is fine. This is amazing.
He was really into the cake cutting too.
He thought he could handle a much larger bite than he could. I was like, are you sure? Are you sure about that? He's like, yeah. And then the picture you guys got is like clear. He's like in his face. He's like, yep, this is way bigger than I thought. It's like so clear. I'm laughing at him and he's like, got his like cheeks all puffed out. I'm like, yeah, I told you that was going to be a big one, but that's fine. It makes for a great picture. It's in our album. Like, I love it. But yeah.
Oh my gosh. It was such a perfect day. I mean, even like, you were talking about like the weather being perfect, but from my point of view, the lighting was perfect because it was a little overcast, but it wasn't like it didn't feel like it was threatening to rain. So,
Like gray.
the other thing,
Yeah.
I just remembered this. It went out of my brain apparently, but you all incorporated yard games too.
Oh, yeah. So part of the awesome thing about Gertrudes being the venue is you have access to any and everything that they have throughout the year. And since they're a functioning restaurant throughout the year, we had the twinkle lights from their holiday window displays up. So it kind of created this curtain of like star twinkle lights between the windows, between the dance floor and where you could sit inside to eat. And then because they had just started a patio series, we could use all of the oversized patio games. And so we had like Uno, Connect Four, a Jenga. And so those are all out in the sculpture garden for cocktail hour and beyond. So yeah, that's like, honestly, that's another thing that I really loved is as far as like the one-stop shop is that, it's Gertrude's is a functioning restaurant. So I didn't have to do table linens. I didn't have to bring in chairs. I didn't have to, do a lot. And because they're a restaurant, I didn't have to worry about what catering could do and what they could bring in. And, it was just, I highly recommend finding a really nice restaurant as your reception site because it takes so much off your plate as far as like juggling vendors and things. I don't think we've talked about this yet, but like as far as table linens, like I still did bring in color.
Yeah.
From like Kenya, the Kenya Kanga. But as far as like table linens for like all of the tables people could sit down and eat and like cocktail hour and the napkins and all that stuff, I just didn't have to worry about finding a vendor and renting it and having them come in because it's a restaurant. They always have it. So yeah, it was perfect.
Well, June, it has been so much fun talking about your wedding. I love all of the family traditions you incorporated. I love all of the cultural traditions you incorporated. And I just love the way you two brought people together to really celebrate and have such an amazing time.
Oh, well, thank you for
And
having me on. I love talking about it. Apparently, it's been 3 years and I still get jazzed up about it.
and me too. um, so where can people find you online? I know you have a company that you're running. And where can people find you and stay up to date?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram and Facebook under June Anderson. And then I am with Beauty Counter. I've been with Beauty Counter actually as almost as long as I've been married. And so it's kind of my side hustle that I do in the pockets of time that I have when I'm not being a full-time parent to our son, Torek.
And your Instagram, isn't it imperfectly natural me?
Yeah, so I have that one and my personal one, which is I think J Rupert 83. You can find me on either. I think recently I've been a lot more active on the J Rupert 83 one, just because I have found with having our son and staying home with him full time, it's hard to juggle on multiple Instagram accounts, as I'm sure that you know, since you juggle like
Yes.
3 of them.
5.5.
Oh, 5.5? Oh my god. Oh my god, because I knew District Bliss, photos from the Harty, and Wedding Dish, so I knew those 3.
And then Sarah without an H, which is my
Oh yes,
personal
of
one.
course, your personal one, duh.
Clouseau,
Yeah,
my
so
Snorosaurus Rex.
right, exactly. So yeah, so exactly. So I think I'm transitioning more to the J Rupert 83 one. But yeah, that's where I post a lot of stuff about kind of my journey as far as trying to lead a more clean and toxic free life. Everything from products I use in the house, products I use on myself, and then just kind of general things that I'm doing and changing in my life.
Awesome. I love it. And we'll link to that in the show notes. You'll also be able to find her proposal story and how Garrick and June met, which is also a hoot, written from both of their perspectives. So I highly recommend you swing by and check out the show notes at theweddingdish podcast.com. And you can also apply to be a guest speaker there or come on to the show. You can submit questions, all kinds of good stuff. And you can find the transcripts from our episodes because we are committed to accessibility at The Wedding Dish. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. June, thank you so much for being here with me on The Wedding Dish. It is so much fun to chat with you and to catch up. I miss you and I can't wait to see you again sometime soon. And everyone, don't forget to subscribe. Oh, sorry, now it's follow. Yeah. Course. Everyone follow, rate, and review the Wedding Dish podcast on your preferred podcast platform. And until next time, cheers.